Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such an amazing place to live, work, and play. If you're a regular listener of Coast Vue, you know that I love focusing on entrepreneurs. I love focusing on the small businesses of coastal Mississippi because at the end of the day, whether you're talking about on the national level or the local level, small businesses are the pulse of our economy. It's so important, and they've been challenged so incredibly significantly during the pandemic, and they've had to be innovative and they've had to persevere. It's really incredible, actually. It reminds me of this quote from Steve Jobs. He said this: "I'm convinced that about half of what separates successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful ones is pure perseverance." Boy, is that true. That is so true. And I've said this one before, but I think it's so true when you're talking about an entrepreneur. And that is something that Walt Disney said, about the time he founded Walt Disney Studios. And it's this: all our dreams come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Sometimes you just have to say, that idea we had, let's just go do it. Let's just go make it happen. That's what today's show is all about. I'm so thrilled to have Shannon Arzola, the partner with Pop Brothers. She's a true entrepreneur, kind of a marketing ace. She's got two other partners. We're going to be talking about that here in just a second. And the Pop Brothers story is really incredible. It's one of perseverance. And as Walt Disney pointed out just a second ago, it's about you just have to sometimes have the courage to pursue your dreams. That's true, isn't it, Shannon?
Yeah, it is in our case. It is in our case.
So good morning. How are you doing?
I'm terrific. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm not sure where to start. I mean, listen, I love the idea of a coast girl who goes off to see the world and then comes back. And I say this all the time. One of our biggest challenges is brain drain. People have to leave here to pursue their goals. And we hope that, if people leave, we hope that we can always provide opportunities for them to get back here. And in your case, you finally made it back. But why don't we kind of take that journey? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Gulfport, small town, small community in Gulfport, just running the roads, riding bikes, barefoot all summer, stay outside and don't come in until it's dark kind of childhood.
Yeah, wait till the street lights come on. That was my
exactly.
In View, where I was raised with Farrell Allman and Roy Anderson and a long list of others.
Correct.
It was a great time to grow up in Gulfport, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. Fun, carefree.
So what took you away from here?
Well, 2 different times I've lived away for almost 10 years at a time. The first time was just young and wanted to move away. Of course, there wasn't a lot per se going on, only because we didn't have casinos at the time. And so I just lived in New Orleans and lived in Dallas and then Jackson, and then came back in 1989 with one baby and one on the way. And so stayed until they went off to college and then moved away. And that was a whirlwind for Miami 2 different times, Birmingham, Chicago, the coast of South Carolina, New Orleans, and then back home.
So it's an amazing journey. You learn a lot during that time. You developed. Why don't let's talk about what your husband's specialty is, so people can have an understanding of that before we start talking about the dream you guys had.
Okay, he's amazing. He has a very amazing background. His youth was, he grew up in Spain, actually in Tenerife, Canary Islands, and he was a bodyguard to a general for his military career. And then when he left that, he moved to the United States in 1997 or 98 and went straight into culinary and food management and food and beverage, I guess you would say. So he had a long career in Chicago. He managed some of the finest restaurants, Joe's Stone Crab, Carmine's. He worked for Mike Ditka for a long time. And so then eventually with an MGM casino where he worked with George Corchis. And George actually came to the coast to open Beau Rivage with MGM. And after Katrina, George made a phone call to Octavio and said, I need you down here to help me reopen this place. So that's how
Yes.
he made it to Mississippi.
Which is just really interesting. I was watching Infamous, the movie, last night, for a matter of fact. It has a scene in Canary Islands off Spain.
Yes.
I love Spain, incidentally. My son, Justin, lived there for a period of time in Madrid, and Ann and I went over to visit with them. But it's a long way from Spain to south coast of Mississippi, isn't it?
Yes, by plane, it's about 24 hours. We've done that twice, but it's an amazing place. And yes, it is very far away.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And speaking of George Corchus, my dear friend George Corchus, who has Amici 30A and beautiful, incredible Italian restaurant. Listen, I've been all over the world, and I've never eaten in a better Italian restaurant than George's restaurant over in the Florida area. And then he's also has a Mexican restaurant as well that's doing extraordinarily well. They're sort of together. You know this, though. I'm sure you've been over there to eat yourself. But they've really mastered it. So anyway, coming back, so you guys have been all over the place. You've had this opportunity to experience the world. Your husband has had a chance to learn a lot about food and beverage and all of that. Along the way, though, you had a dream. Tell me about the dream you had.
Well, when we were in South Florida, they have such a melting pot of the population. Lots of people from South American countries and lots of people from Cuba and Puerto Rico. But when we were working, there was a little lady with a little cart and a little bell, and she would say, paletas, paletas, which is Spanish for popsicle. And that's where we saw it. Of course, Octavia knew about them already. But then when we moved to Birmingham, there was a store there that we visited because it was next door to one of the concepts. We worked for a company that had 12 different restaurant concepts, and we were there at our concept, saw people standing out with popsicles and thought, what are they doing? So went over, had one, and Octavia and I were standing in the parking lot because they gave you no napkin. They didn't tell you what was in it, how it was made, nothing. So we go outside and I said, these are good. And he said, I could do better. That was the first conversation. And it was years later that that was probably in 2011, 12 maybe. So that company, he was in operations for the company and I worked in the franchise office and we learned so much, but they moved us to New Orleans to look at a new concept to take to Nashville. So when we were in New Orleans, my mom got sick. And then we found out we were going to be grandparents, and to go to Nashville just was not an option. And at that point, both my kids were back home, which I didn't expect, because you expect your grown children when they're finished with college to go off somewhere. And they came home, which I was happy about. So I just turned to my husband and said, it's time to go home. He looked at me and said, what are we going to do? What are we going to do if I leave this career job? And I said, let's do the popsicle thing. Because over the years we had talked about it. We had talked about it with my brother Chuck. It was just an idea that we couldn't let go of. My husband looks at me and says, I don't know if you realize this, but we've not saved any money to open a business with. And I said, look, if we go home, we can start a business there with little or no money, much easier than anywhere else. So we literally quit that day and moved back home the next day. Of course, I had a phone call with my brother, which was very interesting and funny, and I can tell you.
I want to actually, Chuck Kelly. A lot of people know Chuck, your brother. It was a great phone call. But when we come back from the break in just a second, I want you to talk about that, and we'll kind of continue that part of the journey. But you think about this. The way I opened the show with this quote from Steve Jobs, I'm convinced that about half of what separates successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful ones is pure perseverance. And combine that with the Disney quote about having the courage to pursue your dreams. Man, you know that deep in your soul, don't you? Yes, absolutely. How brave it must have been to cut your money tree down and start from scratch.
I think my husband was more afraid than me. But that's just the difference in how we grew up and the difference in his background and mine. But yes, we can talk about that when we come back, if you're ready.
No, that's fine. So this is Shannon Arzola, and we're talking about this incredible story behind Pop's Brothers. They have 3 locations here in coastal Mississippi. They have trucks. They're so innovative. They're doing distribution business now. They've been on numerous TV shows. They've won so many awards. It's just a great story of pursuing a dream, focusing on success, having a great product, which Octavia brought to the table. Not just a great product, so many interesting approaches that you guys have taken. Anyway, when we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Shannon.
Okay.
See you after this break.
Coast Vue on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here at I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport or on allentoyota.com.
The streets of downtown Gulfport will be lined with food trucks this Saturday for Ugly Tie Fest. Finally, a festival for Dad. Ice cold beer, great live music all day, classic motorcycles, and delicious food truck food. So come hungry and ready to have some fun. Bring your dad and the whole family to Ugly Tie Fest in downtown Gulfport, Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Admission is free.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, casinoradio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I have Shannon Arzola, an old friend and a partner in Pop Brothers. It's a really innovative business here in Coastal Mississippi. I say Pops. I look at Pop. I say Pops. I meant Pop. But anyway, Pop without the apostrophe S, Brothers. And it's a great story. So, hey, why don't we show the picture of Chuck and you and Octavia? Tell the story of you calling Chuck and telling him what the heck was going to happen.
Well, when we made the decision to do it, I called Chuck because we had talked to him about the idea. And I said, you know, that popsicle idea we've been tossing around for a while. And he said, yeah. And I said, we're thinking about moving back home and giving it a go. What do you think? And he said, awesome. And I said, well, would you like to be involved? And he said, sure. And so this was the point that I knew I had to get out fast and hang up. And I said, okay, see you tomorrow. And I hung the phone up. I could hear him go, tomorrow.
What a great
that's
story.
Literally what happened.
Well, Chuck and I go back a long, long way. We've spent a tremendous amount of time together until we started having families, and that has a way of drifting you apart. But I have incredibly fond memories of Chuck, and he's such a positive soul.
Absolutely.
So what was the next step? You Octavia had to go to work though. You had to design some flavors that worked.
Yes. Well, first we had to order all the equipment and it comes from out of the country, so it takes a couple of months to get here. So the next step was we went to the Lynn Meadows Discovery Center to see if we could have a test kitchen, use their kitchen for test kitchen. And there's no recipe book. There's no sharing of information. No one wants to tell you anything. So you just scratch it all out on your own. And so while we were waiting on the equipment, he went into the Discovery Center and started trying to figure out how to make popsicles. You have to understand, at this point, we moved home, quit, not even knowing if we were going to be able to make them or not. But that's why my husband is now called the Pop Master, because not only did he figure it out, he did it in a grand way. So once he got about 8 flavors that we knew we could replicate really well, then I got them in Ziploc bags and I just hit the road. I had a dry ice and an ice chest, and I made stops at every big office, every bank. I knocked on the back door of radio stations at night and would hand bags in. And on like the 3rd try, when they went to grab the bag, I pulled it back and said, oh no, you have to let me on the air. So those kind of things. As social media, we created social media as soon as we got the name and logo. Before we ever even knew if we could make a popsicle, I started posting things that I just wanted to build the excitement of what are they doing? What is it going to be? So we used every available resource to get the word out in the beginning. And the rest is history.
It's an amazing story. So between 2015 and 2018, you guys went on a mission to open 3 stores in unique positions downtown. I love the approach that you guys took, and you're sort of part of this walkable community thing that I talk about here on Coast Vue all the time, helping to create a sense of place. Ocean Springs, Bay St. Louis, and Gulfport.
Yes.
But those have been tremendously successful, haven't they?
They have. And, people sort of poo-pooed our downtown ideas. But with the experiences that we'd had all over the country, we knew that, number one, it'd be new and exciting, and the price point would be right. I knew that my husband could make them taste great. So I knew they would sell. But we really wanted to be a part of that part of the walkability, the downtown community, and everything that people told us, don't you'll die if you go downtown Gulfport. Nobody will ever come. None of it was true. And my patent answer was, thanks for the advice, but I really think we can create something interesting, and I think people will visit downtown. And it's absolutely what happened, and we're thrilled. Absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, it's not just a little niche. It's a destination. People go on it. They leave to come there, to go to your place, to have one of these really innovative popsicles.
Yes.
So many. Just give an idea of some of the different flavors.
Oh, Gosh. Okay. Well, first of all, we make popsicles for dogs. Those are Pooch Pops. They're amazing. Lots and lots of furry friends visit us on a daily basis. Then we have wonderful things like lavender milk and honey. We have fruit from all over the world: lulo, rambutan, wanabana, mamey, and so you get a little bit of a geography lesson. You get to taste some things that you've never tasted before. My husband uses edible flowers. He has some food colorings that are made from vegetable products that he uses in fun ways. We have 3 totally separate categories. We have the all natural fruit, vegan options with no real allergens. So we have over 30 flavors that would appeal to people with lactose intolerance, any kind of dietary restriction you can imagine. Then we have the cream ones, which are great things like Oreo and Nutter Butter and Barks Root Beer Float and Elvis Presley peanut butter and banana, And then we have the super indulgent group, which is where I live. I am totally like a Nutter Butter dipped in chocolate. So we can dip your popsicles when they come in different flavors. So 1,000,001 probably has created over 150 flavors, but we probably have about 75 in the stores. And then we come to the Poptails, which are the cocktails on a stick.
Yeah, wow.
That's
cocktails on a stick. You know what's interesting about studying you, though, is that you're kind of a master marketer. You guys have been on $1 Billion Buyer, Mississippi Rose, Beach Bites with Katie Lee, Hallmark Channel, Beachfront Bargain Hunt. You've been featured in so many magazines and stories along the way. You've won so many different awards.
Sorry, this is my favorite. This is New Orleans Magazine cover.
Yeah, good. And now you're doing wholesale growth into 3 separate states. Tell me about that part of your business.
Well, after we got the 3 stores running and we had our experience with $1 Billion Buyer, we realized that wholesale was a real option for us. So we have those branded freezers like you see in a convenience store with our branding, selling our flavors. And we have those in probably 40 different accounts between from the Alabama coast and the Florida Panhandle all the way through New Orleans and north to Hattiesburg. And we have expansion on the way. It's just not quite there yet. But so we sell to, we have food service partnerships like with Levy, with Aramark, with Morrison. So we're in hospitals, we're in casinos, we're in zoos and aquariums, lots and lots of tourist attractions, resorts, you name it.
Yeah, the Mississippi Aquarium in particular.
Yes.
You're selling a lot of popsicles there, aren't you?
Very, very happy with our partnership there. Really love it. Really amazing. I've studied a little bit about how you guys responded to the pandemic. You were sort of tailor-made to write a book on how to survive, a small business can survive during the pandemic, from touchless, money to how you made the popsicles to, being able to, do walk-up service and all of that. Tell a little bit about that as we sort of wind this down. Well, we've grown so much. We started making everything in the Gulfport store. Now we have an FDA licensed food manufacturing kitchen, but everything is still made by hand. That's what people need to remember. The wrapping process is automated, but other than that, it's still hand done. And so because of that, and they're wrapped at the kitchen, we were a compliant product. So we sold really well, and we got new customers because of it. We did a lot of new corporate events. We do tons of catering. So we worked with Memorial Hospital a great deal, Garden Park, Singing River. All of the hospitals used us tons through the pandemic. And then, we were able to adapt to any selling style that needed to be available for the pandemic. I mean, we did curbside, we did delivery, bought a food truck. That's a whole nother thing, and realized that we needed to get mobile. Also got my buddy Brandon Atwell at Murky Waters on the horn and said, let's get on the road. And so the 2 of us got on the road. We started calling HOAs. We started calling neighborhoods. We We were doing that 2 or 3 times a week. It was just amazing. We were busy.
It's incredible. You know, though, at the end of the day, it comes back to this. When I watched my grandson bite into one of your popsicles and just chow away at it, you know, he's a picky eater, very picky eater, and he's biting it and eating it, and finally he comes across a whole blueberry and he says, "A blueberry, Pawpaw, a blueberry." He holds it up, and he eats it. But Brody really loved it, and my granddaughter Riley and Mila, they loved them as well. It at the end of the day, that's the way you create success. You have to have a product that people love, and then you have to make it available to them. And you guys have worked so hard to make that happen. Hey, we have less than a minute left. Final word, Shannon.
So happy to be back on the Mississippi coast, and so happy to be a part of what's happening here. It's very exciting. Coast is growing like crazy. We're busy. Just absolutely grateful to every customer that walks through our door.
I know you are, and you guys have proven that when you have a dream and you pursue it with perseverance, that you can make anything happen. You're a great example for other entrepreneurs. Good luck to you guys. We'll have you back on in a few months, just see how things are going. It's been a great pleasure to tell your story.
I'd love that. Thanks.
You bet. This has been Shannon Arzola from Pop Brothers, and what a great entrepreneurial story this was. We'll see you later. We'll see you after this break, for matter of fact.
Okay.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast Vue on your laptop, desktop, or on your phone or tablet by going to SuperTalkMSGulfCoast.com.
The streets of downtown Gulfport will be lined with food trucks this Saturday for Ugly Tie Fest. Finally, a festival for Dad. Ice cold beer, great live music all day, classic motorcycles, and delicious food truck food. So come hungry and ready to have some fun. Bring your dad and the whole family to Ugly Tie Fest in downtown Gulfport, Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Admission is free.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard to find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard. And,
wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota, Gulf Coast Business Supply, and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I really enjoyed that conversation with Shannon Arzola from Pop Brothers. What a great entrepreneurial story. And, it's true. I mean, you grow up here. A lot of people grow up here. They go and see the world and they come back. They can't help it. They want to get back home. And she did it not once, but twice. But with her husband, Octavia, and her brother, Chuck Kelly, they've created this incredible company that's doing so well. It's great. It's great to hear when there's success in coastal Mississippi. And again, small business, these are the people who are making this economy tick. I mean, we need dreamers. We need people who say, like Walt Disney said, all of our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. We have to have the courage to pursue them. And that statement certainly goes to my next guest, our Friday special. Every single Friday we have Jeff Duncan from The Athletic. Jeff, you know this, that all our dreams do come true if we have the courage to pursue them. I think about the books that you've written. Those were just dreams and they became realities, but you know that, don't you?
Yeah, I think the phrase I've always used is fortune favors the bold, right? So being aggressive in life and realizing that you can accomplish those big goals and dreams you have. Sometimes it just takes taking that first step, right? And that first leap of faith. And then next thing you know, you've accomplished something. I never thought I would be able to write a book in my life, Ricky, and now I've written 3, and I'm hoping to write 4 or 5 before I'm done. So, yes, take advantage.
Yeah, it'll be more than 4 or 5 before you're done because you're really good at it. Well, actually, we'll talk about that. But let's for example, you think about another quote that I shared with Shannon at the beginning of her segment, which will play just before your segment plays, is this. It's from Steve Jobs. I'm convinced that about half of what separates successful entrepreneurs from non-successful ones is pure perseverance. Now, that could be true whether you're setting out to write a book about Sean Payton and Drew Brees. It could be true about the content of what you wrote. In other words, Coach Payton's pursuit of excellence and leaving nothing undone. I mean, having a system where it takes hard. They don't just go and win the division every year because they get lucky. They do it because they are absolutely focused on pure perseverance. That's true, isn't it?
No doubt about it. I mean, their work ethic is extraordinary. I detail that a lot in my book, Peyton and Breeze. And if you just think about Drew Brees' story, Ricky, I mean, we all know him as this incredible player and Hall of Famer, but we all know the story before he got to New Orleans. Not a lot of people believed in him. I mean, he was damaged goods. He'd suffered one of the worst injuries that a quarterback could have. Not a lot of people were pursuing him back in 2005, 2006, and he grinded out his rehab, put one day and stacked another good day and another good day on top of each other. He won each day, and it's difficult to do when you're at the beginning of a long journey like that, and he did it, and look where he came out on the other side. He's a Hall of Fame player, broke all these records in New Orleans, but at the time, he would tell you, Ricky, it was dark days. Not a lot of people believed in him. He thought his career might be over, and sometimes you just have to have faith and persevere and work hard, and good things happen.
You know, I had the Speaker of the House, Philip Gunn, on this week, and we had a terrific conversation about his life and challenges along the way. He was a walk-on at Baylor. And when we had that part of the conversation, I said, I can't help but think about Rudy Rudiker and, this underdog mentality. And certainly I did mean that. And he said, it's interesting. He likes to win, and he talked about his experience walking on at Baylor. But then I was watching over the weekend again, read something or saw something about Tom Brady. Tom Brady was a late bloomer. I mean, this is a guy who, most people would have never expected to become one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL history. But, his story is also one. Even today, it's about perseverance and sort of this underdog. He talks about the underdog mentality and how it drives him to excellence. He's a great example, isn't he?
Yeah, I tell you, and that also occurs, Ricky, when I study the players that are up for the Hall of Fame every year. Invariably, the guys that make it to the Hall of Fame continued to work once they made it to the NFL. They weren't necessarily the five-star blue chip recruits. They're guys like Jason Taylor, who went to Akron and hardly played football in high school at all, went to a small school in Akron, ends up going to the Miami Dolphins, keeps working, makes it to the Hall of Fame. I can go down the list. It's amazing how many of those guys that get the gold jackets were not the big recruits. More often than not, they're guys like Drew Brees, Tom Brady. I can think of LaDainian Tomlinson, who was a fullback. Everybody wanted him as a fullback. Marshall Faulk, he was so unthought of here in New Orleans. He didn't even make the All-Metro team for the Times-Picayune because he played so many positions that he wasn't at one position long enough to build up enough stats. So he ends up going to San Diego State, the only school that recruited him really as a running back, and he's a Hall of Fame player. Often that's what it takes to get to that extraordinary level. Those guys, that high bar, you have to just keep working and persevering.
Well, speaking of your book, and I said this often, in the conversation I had yesterday with John Ferrucci off the line, I mentioned about your book to him, that it's not just a book about how Sean Payton and Drew Brees did it, but it's a great book about business and leadership and how to move forward. You've had some interesting tweets the last couple of days, in fact, about your book. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I've been surprised. I mean, just feel very fortunate. On Friday, Tom Crean, the head basketball coach at University of Georgia, of course, used to be at the Indiana University, tweeted out about it, just completely unsolicited, Ricky. I don't know Tom Crean, but had some nice things to say about the book's leadership lessons and synergy lessons for business. And he made a really good point. And I've said this before. You don't have to be a football fan to get something out of this book. It's really a book about leadership, working together, how you have two really brilliant people in Sean Payton and Drew Brees, and they know that they're better with each other. That's why they never had those ego clashes. They were willing to sacrifice their own egos for the betterment of the team. And that's a great lesson for everyone when you have two people of that capability in the same building.
You had another tweet from Mississippi. Tell me about that.
Will Hall, the new coach at Southern Miss, who I think is going to do an incredible job in Hattiesburg. I got to know Will here when he was the offensive coordinator at Tulane, and I didn't know he had the book either. And he reached out to me and said he couldn't put it down, and that he's giving a copy to all of his quarterbacks. And he said any coach out there that wants to teach a quarterback how to be great needs to pick up this book, because you learn from the best. You learn from Drew Brees and the work ethic and the drive and the commitment and all those intangibles it takes to be great. As you know, there's no shortcuts to it. And when you read this book, you'll see just how hard these guys work in a given week to prepare for a game. It really is mind-boggling. It's the thing that stood out to me most in working on the book and doing the research.
Well, it's like John Ferrucci and I talked about. You're only as good as your last performance. Tomorrow morning, you got to wake up and you got to do it all again. It's really a grind if you want to be successful. That's for sure. Hey, I should remind people that you're on the Hall of Fame selection committee for the NFL representing New Orleans. And because of that, you know, one of the reasons why you have that distinct opportunity is that you covered the Saints longer than anyone else alive. You've got some, you know, you and I got to know each other when I was president of NOLA Media Group, publisher of the Times-Picayune, and you were a columnist there, and we got to know each other during that time. And I really look back on our relationship at that time as being very fond, which is one of the things that led to you being here on Coast Vue. But you've got some big news that you recently announced. Tell me about that.
Yes, I'm going back to my roots. Later this summer, toward the fall, I'm going to be joining the Times-Picayune staff, the staff I was a part of for 20 years, which you were a part of, NOLA.com. Joining the sports staff, going to have my old sports columnist title, and really a great opportunity. I'm really excited about it. I had a great time at The Athletic, extraordinary place to work, but I'm really excited about continuing to cover things locally here in the New Orleans and Gulf Coast area. So that should start sometime before football season. We haven't decided yet on a date, but really exciting news, and I've been very fortunate to being able to announce that last week, and had a lot of really nice reaction from fans and also colleagues.
I'm really happy for you, Jeff, because I know the developments at the Athletic could have meant that you would have to go beyond New Orleans, and your goal was to stay in New Orleans. That's you want to cover the Saints, and you want to cover sort of the sports community in New Orleans, and this gives you a chance to do that. And you've got this awesome collaboration that you and I have talked about before with WVUE that will continue. And in fact, if not just continue, it's like you're putting it on steroids. So the chance to do that collaboration to report for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, man, I congratulate you on being able to take that step and stay in New Orleans.
Yeah, it means the world to me. It's what I do best. All my connections here over the years. People know me, I know them, and this is what I want to do. I don't think there's any more passionate sports fans anywhere in the world than there are here in the Gulf Coast and here in New Orleans. So I feel fortunate to be able to continue doing that. And you're right, WVUE has been a blessing to me. #1 station in town and #1 with a bullet. We continue to grow and expand there. So I'm really looking forward to some of the exciting things we've got in the future with that group as well.
Great team at WVUE. I know them well, know many of them well. So anyway, when we come back, we'll get the latest on what's happening with the Pelicans and the Saints and anything else that might be on Jeff's mind. We'll see you after this break.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Dale Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera flips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
The streets of downtown Gulfport will be lined with food trucks this Saturday for Ugly Tie Fest. Finally, a festival for Dad. Ice-cold beer, great live music all day, classic motorcycles, and delicious food truck food. So come hungry and ready to have some fun. Bring your dad and the whole family to Ugly Tie Fest in downtown Gulfport, Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Admission is free.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. It's Friday. On Fridays, we have the opportunity to meet and have wonderful conversation with my friend Jeff Duncan, who's covered the Saints longer than anyone else. But he also covers the Pelicans, and he's a horse racing expert. He's just a guy who can talk about just about anything sports. We announced at the beginning of the during that last segment that he's going to be moving back over to the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com from The Athletic. He's going to continue his partnership with WVUE. I'm excited about that move for him, and he's going to continue to join us here on Coast Vue, which I'm super excited about. And, we'll just continue the conversation. So we'll do this without missing a lick. So we got real quick. I want to talk about the miracle work the Saints did to create cap space, because that was unbelievable what they were able to accomplish, and also get the latest on the Pelicans search. So why don't you talk about the Pelicans first?
Well, the Pelicans look like they're down to a couple of candidates. I've heard there might be a third, Ricky, but the two that everyone has publicly been notified about is Charles Lee, the lead assistant for the Milwaukee Bucks, and then Willie Green, one of the top assistants for the Phoenix Suns. So right now, two assistants in the NBA Finals. And that's going to probably prolong this coaching search until the finals are over. So David Griffin, Trajan Langdon, Swing Cash, so they can meet and interview these two top assistants. But they are at the top of the list of candidates for the Pelicans. Both of them younger, former players, guys that relate very well to players in this league right now. And I think that's exactly a top priority for David Griffin's, finding a younger coach, someone maybe that relates more to the millennial player than, say, Stan Van Gundy did, a guy in his 60s who obviously had some issues within the locker room with how he related to the players. Even though he's well respected, I think in this day and age, you need to find some younger coaches. That seems to be the trend in the NBA right now.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it, because as we know, as you said so many times, we need the right guy who's got the right kind of chemistry with Zion, because you can be building this team around this guy, and you don't have forever to do it. And you got to create success so that we can ultimately get Zion on some long-term contract in the future. So it's an instant gratification scenario for whatever coach comes in here, isn't it?
Whoever comes in and gets this job, their top priority has to be getting Zion on board. His or her relationship with Zion Williamson has to be the number one priority, because this is a generational talent. Ricky, we've talked about it, and he's only got one more year before he has to sign his long-term extension. We all think he's going to do that, but he doesn't have to do it. And if there's ever been a player, a number one pick, that would be in position to not sign that lucrative extension, it's Zion Williamson, because he's got one of the largest shoe deals in the world. So he can afford maybe to not take more money from the Pelicans, can become a free agent and maybe make that money up on the back end. So huge season in store for the Pelicans and for that new coach to try and be successful this year and get this ship headed in the right direction.
It's going to be fun to watch. Okay, so you and I talked about Ryan Ramczyk signing a really big deal. But if you just go back in all these signings and re-signings and all the, with the pandemic and the reduced salary cap, and then the hit that Drew Brees has, and all this renegotiating, there's been some miracle work underway. Who's behind that?
Well, Mickey Loomis, the general manager, who came up in the league as a salary cap consultant. That's where he cut his teeth in the Seattle Seahawks organization. He's an expert at it. And then he has Kai Harley, who handles most of the contract negotiations now. Kai Harley came from the NFL Management Council and worked for the league. Very, very astute at the salary cap. And between those two, I don't think there's any other team in the league that can match their salary cap ability. This is what it took, Ricky, to get them. Let's first back up. They're now almost $12 million under the salary cap. Somehow they've gotten there mainly through this restructure of Ryan Ramczyk's deal, but it took 10 contract restructurings, 6 releases. They had to release 6 very good players, 1 contract extension, obviously Drew Brees' retirement, and then it took a trade. All that got them to where they're at now, but now they sit in a good position to be able to add their rookie players from this recent draft class and maybe a veteran or two before the start of training camp.
Now, who would have thought that would be the case 6 months ago? It's incredible.
Yeah, and I tell you, they're as good as it gets in the league. Now, some of this is kicking the can down the road, but the philosophy there, Ricky, is that the salary cap's going to balloon back up with these new media deals coming in. We know the COVID pandemic obviously affected the revenue streams in the league and shrunk the salary cap last season. That was unprecedented. So they're expecting a big bump in future years. So they can kind of backload these deals. And I'm sure it's all done knowing that the cap's going to grow in the next 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, I've heard you use that phrase, kicking it down the road, but that's basically the nature of the business these days, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's because they know the league revenue streams continue to grow. It's really unprecedented. I've never seen another business like the NFL, Ricky, that just continues to grow and grow, and that's how the salary cap is formulated. It's based on a percentage of the revenue stream. So as long as the revenue keeps pouring in through these new media deals, and most of that is born out of the new streaming channels that are out there that created new revenue streams for the league, and that's allowing them to accelerate the salary cap. And it's smart for the Saints to structure these contracts the way they do.
Well, Jeff Duncan, congratulations on all your successes. I look forward to staying in touch with you as we go on your journey with you as you continue to be stationed in New Orleans, covering New Orleans sports. It's going to be exciting to go on that journey with you. Anyway, thanks for joining us today, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, Ricky. I look forward to talking to you next week. Everybody have a great weekend out there.
You bet. We'll see you. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.